Welcome back to the Constitution in 3 Minutes with Mr. Postel. Last time we were talking about the events of June 28th when Madison gave his biggest argument against the fears of the small state people. What we didn't talk about was what happened at the end of the day, June 28th, 1787. What happens is Benjamin Franklin, the oldest man at the convention, by far, 81 years old, he's so near the end of his life that he has to be carried into the convention often because his health is failing. He stands up and he gives a speech. And what his speech does is it calls for prayer every day before the proceedings of the convention. This is what he says at the very end of the day. He says, and I quote, "In this situation of this assembly, groping as it were in the dark to find political truth and scarce able to distinguish it when presented to us, how has it happened, sir, that we have not hitherto once thought of humbly applying to the Father of lights to illumine our understanding?" So Franklin calls for prayer. Mr. Alexander Hamilton objects to this, and he says what it will do is it will show the people that we have little faith of being able to come to an agreement on our own. Of course, Mr. Hamilton is overruled, and they decide in favor of Mr. Franklin's decision or argument that they should have prayer every single day. Mr. Randolph goes even further, the man who presents the Virginia Plan. He goes even further at the end of the day, and he proposed that they have a church service on the 4th of July to talk about the 4th of July and American independence. So they end up doing that, and all of the members show up at the church service about the Declaration of Independence and the celebration of declaring our independence from Britain. So they're going to pray every day together before they argue about the Constitution. Now, on June 29th, Mr. Oliver Ellsworth, he presents one plank that will become an essential plank of what is known as the Connecticut Compromise, the thing that ultimately gets the Constitution passed. Mr. Ellsworth moved, and I quote, "that the rule of suffrage in the second branch be the same with that established by the Articles of Confederation," so equal representation. He says that he is not sorry on the whole that the vote just passed had determined against this rule in the first branch. Why? Well, because, and I quote, "he hoped it would become a ground of compromise with regard to the second branch." So what ends up happening? Well, Gouverneur Morris, he comes back on July 2nd. And what Gouverneur Morris, he was in New York. He's actually representing Pennsylvania in this convention. Mr. Gouverneur Morris advises a committee. So they end up putting together this committee, voting on this committee, and it becomes called the Gerry Committee. And what they do the day after the 4th of July is they present this compromise measure, which will become known as the Connecticut Compromise. So next time we'll talk a little bit more about the Connecticut Compromise. Thank you.